Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unity Center of Westland, Oregon. My name's Joanne Carruthers, and I'm your service assistant today. We bless and welcome each one of you today. In Unity, we believe each of us dwells in spirit, and each of us is here today by divine appointment. If you're new to Unity or Unity of Westland, we invite you to visit our information-filled website, www.worldhealing.org. And now our center's mission. The Unity Center is a ministry where people of all ages, backgrounds, and beliefs celebrate the one common spiritual thread that lives in every heart. Our speaker today is our new transition minister, Reverend Julie Applegate, and she will open our Sunday celebration with prayer. Julie?
Good morning. I'm going to do a reading from a book by Frederick Bales. Many of you know who he is. It's a real classic. I'm going to hold it up. I don't know if you can really see this, but there's a reading and a prayer in here for expectancy of good that I read a lot, and I know a number of people that I know just have this prayer to begin the morning with. So let us just take this as words for us. This day I move in a bright new world, which is a reflection of my innermost thoughts and beliefs. Consciousness is the only reality. Experiences are the shadow thrown by this reality on the screen of my mind. This day, I consciously and deliberately align myself with the supreme consciousness. It always moves in right action. Therefore, my affairs this day partake of that all-inclusive principle of right action. I am surrounded by a circle of protection. The knower within me guides me in all directions. The law draws to me those persons, places, and things that tend toward my fullest benefit. And I, in turn, become a blessing to all whom I meet this day. I reject any belief in or fear of wrong actions. My body is a temple in which God dwells. All of the activities of those of right action are mine. I welcome every one of those activities and throw myself wide open to them. Nothing destructive can enter or operate within my body this day, for I am deliberately choosing the most constructive molds of thought. And so it is for each one of us today. I claim this, I know it, I bless it, and I'm enthused about it, and I let it go. So it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Julie. And I have a reading this morning. It's from Pima Chodron. It's entitled, We Can Help This Troubled World. We all have inborn wisdom to create a wholesome, uplifted existence for ourselves and others. We can think beyond our own little cocoon and try to help this troubled world. Not only will our friends and family benefit, but even our enemies will reap the blessings of peace. If these teachings make sense to us, can we commit to them? In these times, do we really have a choice? Do we have the option of living in unconscious self-absorption? When the stakes are so high, do we have the luxury of dragging our feet? And now, we have some music. This piece is entitled One Power and will lead us into Reverend Julie's message this morning.
One power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. The different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. And we'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. Oh, it's the power of the love in you and me. One power. Oh, one power. One power is what we are. One power. One power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon for its love that's most deep. It's one power. It's one power. What we are is one power.
invisible, yet we see it everywhere. We could sit with that for a long time. Wow. Good morning. So good to be with everyone again this morning. Thank God for this magical, I think it's magical, internet that allows us, and the Zoom and all of that stuff that I don't understand, that allows us to get together even when we can't get together. So blessings on all of you who are watching today. And I didn't want to do a formal talk. I really wanted to have a conversation. For 3 weeks, we've been exploring faith together. And last week we looked at faith, and I changed some things around. I'm going to say this about faith. Faith is the engine that runs our vehicle of life. How'd you like that metaphor? I thought that was pretty cute. Sometimes people really think metaphors are like really weird when we stretch them, but I thought that one was pretty good. Faith is the engine that runs our vehicle of life. Think about that. Whether we're talking about kindness, enthusiasm, finances, health, anything else that we discuss, faith is the underpinning of it, and it doesn't matter what subject. It's something, it's part of the whole. It's the fabric. It's it's everything. So we read and study many messages of faith, and I focused on exploring faith, but I needed to shift the message today. I have lots of stories about faith, and I can't wait to tell them to you next week. This week, I wanted to focus on something different. I switched what I was going to say next week to this week because I thought it came first. So today's message is really about skepticism, doubt, and faith. And Jesus is reputed to have said, because you have so little faith, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible to you. That's kind of like our quote for this whole 3-part series. Nothing will be impossible to you. Wow, that is really quite a statement based on the level of our faith. And we know that it's done unto us as believe. Change your thinking, change your life. And guys, don't we look down a little bit on doubting Thomas? Like, why don't you believe? Well, why then would we talk about skepticism and doubt? Well, personally, I believe in skepticism and doubt are very important on the path to faith. Not just important, I would say that for many or most of us, an absolutely a necessary part of the journey that we must pass through onto the unfolding of a deep level of faith. So many of us grow up with a faith that we're told is true, or some of us have grown up with no faith at all, no religious background. Either way, I think it's really important to be skeptical. That allows us to really think about what is it that we believe. You see, it can't be ours if we do not question. It's important to come to our own conclusions, to test our beliefs. Ernest Holmes said to prove this teaching, and I love that about what he says. You don't take his word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Prove it out. And if it proves out for you, then it is true for you. And don't just take what I say or anybody says, make it yours. And when we have accepted something without thinking about it, we are inheriting someone else's idea, someone else's belief. And in my classes, I challenge students not to take my word for things until they have proved it for themselves, until it makes sense to them, until it is their experience. Because in truth, I can say whatever I want to say, and they can, write up the right answers, but there may be just this niggling doubt in their own minds. And, I want everyone to explore that doubt, because if it's there, it's going to be an influencing factor. It's going to be our faith. Actually, the doubt will be our faith. So we have, in order to make it ours, we really have to question. And all my life, I've been seeking the truth, maybe like a lot of you want to know the nature of cosmos. One of my very first memories, and I was not over 5, just judging by where we lived at the time. I was looking up the sky and just wondering what is. And because I lived in 2 cultures every year, I got to see more than one faith. And the consistent message of each faith, which was interesting, was they were right. It didn't matter which one I went to. They were the right. They held the truth. They were the true path. So I was seeking God, and while I enjoyed these experiences at these different faith-based places, I never really found God in any of them. I went to church because I wanted to. I loved church even as a kid and as a teen, and I know people have said that's really weird. You didn't have to go to church. You went anyway. Absolutely. There were a lot of really cool things at church, and I loved church. I used to walk 2 miles we have a farm. In fact, I still have the house I grew up in Idaho, on the family farm. And there was a 1-room schoolhouse and a church 2 miles from our house. It was just this tiny little rural farming community. And so I would walk through the back pasture to church every day. It was a Mormon community. Everyone in the community, practically everyone, was related, and everyone was Mormon. So it was a Mormon church, and I would get up and I would walk the 2 miles to church. And when I was 7, the Mormon bishop called me in. Now, 7 is when the Mormons consider you have reached the age of reason, so you can make a decision about your life, your faith, and make a decision for God, or I'm not sure exactly what. Anyway, he took me in his office, and he's a guy, and he's big, and he's old, and and I'm a 7, and he's sitting behind these big desks, and now we know that that's a power place. So he asked me if I was ready to be baptized, and of course he's sitting behind this big desk, and he's a guy, and he's an adult, and what am I going to say? So yeah, I'm ready to be baptized. And when they came to get me for the baptism, of course, it wasn't really what I wanted. I just knew it wasn't right for me. And so I hid, and my grandmother had to face the bishop and deal with that. And she was always one who liked things nice and not confrontational, and poor thing. Anyway, when I was 8, we lived in Arizona in the winter. They were snowbirds. And I went to a Baptist church in Arizona. And there was this revival that came to town. And I don't know if any of you have ever been to a Baptist revival. They can really, really get your emotions going. I love Baptist revivals, actually. I love all the music. I still love to hear all of that. And so they have this song at the end, and they often have it at the end of the services. It's called "Just As I Am, Lord, I Come." Wow. I still love that song, but it is really powerful after a great preaching. Oh my God. And then to sing "Just As I Am, Lord, I Come." Well, of course I came. I came up to the front. I gave my soul to God. I was born again, ready for baptism at 8 years old. So then I got home, and all of that began to wear off, as it does for most of us in those situations. And so when they came to get me to take me for my baptism, once again, I hid. I remember hiding under the bed. And my poor grandmother had to then face the Baptist preacher and the congregation that came along. But it just wasn't right for me. And somehow, as a little kid, I knew that. So I was continuing to look despite what people were telling me. And then when I was in high school, I went to a Catholic boarding school and I loved it. And I was a very serious student of religion because, like I said, I'm still looking for the true church. My only reference point was Christianity. So, of course, it had to be a church. What was the one true church? And the thing about Catholic boarding school that impressed me was I had never seen anybody who actually lived their religion. I mean, really lived their religion and were dedicated it. The nuns. And actually, I had never seen nuns before. So this was really, really impressive. And then the second thing, in religion class, the church could trace its origins back to the first century. And I thought, well, given these two things, I was impressed. This must be the true church. And I loved it. I loved the ritual. I loved everything about it. So finally, I really was baptized. My grandmother didn't have to face the priest. And it was a wonderful, wonderful day. And I loved the church. I really did. And it was a perfect place for me. It really was an absolutely perfect place for me until I was 19. And I was in a Catholic college too. And I began to question the dogma. Some of it did not make any sense to me at all anymore when I began to look at it deeply. And I had to leave the church. So I wandered as someone who had no place, who rejected the Christian God, the God that I knew. Not only rejected this God, I seriously disliked him. He could control the universe and this was the best he could do. It was like, yeah, I'm not into him. So I was busy with my family at the time and I didn't think about it. I know, one of God's blessed little creatures. So it's a very big creature, 20 pounds. I can't actually carry him sometimes. So I was busy and I didn't have time to think about things. But then when my kids got a little older, I began once more to ponder the nature of the universe. I wanted to know, like many of you, why am I here? What is this all about? What is the meaning? Is there a God? I didn't really believe, I didn't believe in any of the gods I had known before. So I was sitting in the anteroom of one of my professors one day, and I was just waiting, and I was thinking about this. And so I said, okay, if there is a God, I want to know, and I want to know right now, and I want some information. So almost immediately, I don't know how many of you have ever done that, demanded to know something. And when you make that kind of a demand upon the universe, trust me, it's going to respond. And so almost immediately this book appeared, and it was one of those books that was transformative. I found something that did not fight with my reason, but made rational sense to me and was also grounded in science. This was mine, and I believed in it. Or you might say this kind of process is not necessary for you. And maybe for some people, this isn't necessary. Perhaps not, but I still challenge each one of us to question everything, to be skeptical. It must truly make sense to our rational mind and our heart, or true transformative faith will be elusive. So I want to just encourage each one of us not to judge ourselves if we're doubting, not to think we just aren't good enough in our practice, but to acknowledge our doubt. It exists, it must be worked with. And I think it's the leaven for our bread of faith. So the practice of affirmative prayer and the principles of New Thought made sense to me. I practiced them. I came to understand them deeply. But more than that, over the years, and it has been years because I'm evidently a slow study, I have proved them out. And now my whole life is guided by them. I'm not talking about behavior. I'm not always on good behavior, guys. You know, those of you who know me well know that. But I do have this absolutely deep, inviting faith in the way the universe works. And I want to tell you some stories next week. And if you've got some stories to share with me, I would love to hear them because it works. It works for us. And we don't always understand the reason why it is working the way it is, but it does work. And I would not have come to something that was mine had I not began with skepticism and doubt, which I honored. This led me to an emptiness. But that emptiness became a place that could be filled with something that was my truth. And I'm not saying that this universe is so big and so vast that we can't understand it all. But there is a way it works and the way it works for us. And I think our new thought principles are so on target on that. It doesn't mean other things are wrong, because I actually believe that each one of us is right where we need to be. And when we need to be somewhere else, we'll be moved in that direction. I don't know where your journey of faith will take you, but don't be hard on yourself. Your doubts are also your guides. And I would encourage you to let doubt and skepticism lead you to a deeper faith, a transformative faith. And so we can talk about this. We can share these conversations together. We can support each other on our journey. And I am just so grateful that I have found a community that nourishes me, feeds me, and that I can believe in, and has given me tools to practice that makes my life different. And so blessings on your week. And I just want to say namaste, blessings. Let's just take a moment. Having said that all about doubt, let's just take a moment and know that there is this amazing universe that, even though we can't get our mind around the entirety of it, we can know it through our experience, through our mystical oneness in our practice. And I know for each one of us that we are born to transform our lives into something greater than we can imagine. And because we cannot imagine it, because it is beyond what we are experiencing right now, I invite each one of us to just let go, to be in the unknown, to be in the emptiness. And let that intelligence, that love, that presence inform us to say the next step, the next awareness, the next awakening on this journey. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Julie. Love that message. I love the title of this next piece of music. I'm
planting and pruning, waiting and watching, searching for some kind of sign, weeding for hours while all the wildflowers thrive in the fields just fine. Often confused, singing the blues, I must be amusing to God. There are signs all around, every sight, every sound, works of God everywhere, answers waiting for prayers. If I just heard the call, I wouldn't be searching at all. Eyes on the road map, missing the street signs. Seems like I've been here before. Losing my bearings, cursing my fate. I can't trust myself anymore. Lost and confused, feeling abused. I must be amusing to God. There are signs all around, every sight, every sound, works of God everywhere, answers waiting for prayers. If I just heard the call, I wouldn't be searching at all. Whispering clues surround me, but I don't hear a thing. Then in accidental stillness, I hear myself and God sing. There are signs all around, every sight, every sound, signs of God everywhere, answers waiting for prayers. Now that I hear the call, I'm no longer searching at all.
so perfect with Julie's message. This is the part of our celebration. When we act on our faith and commitment, we take this opportunity to express our gratitude for the Unity Center of Westland and for the abundance in our lives and prosperity in all its many forms. You can find an easy way to donate by going to the Unity website, worldhealing.org. And as we donate, pretend we're passing the basket and you're putting your generous contributions in. Our offertory prayer, our intention and vision of the Unity Center in our 30th year is spirit-led. We are co-creating a vibrant, inclusive ministry, welcoming and supporting everyone on their spiritual journey. And our offering prayer, together we bless your gifts and offerings as we say, God's love in me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And despite most of all our activities are digital right now, and we're very thankful that Zoom is accessible to us, there are monthly social, spiritual, and service activities. You're welcome to participate in the coming weeks. Check our website and the weekly e-news for details. Announcement this week: in 2 weeks, on October 4th, we'll be going to a new year-round starting time for our Sunday service. It will be at 10:30 a.m., same link, and we'll start at 10 o'clock in the morning for conversations. We had a discussion on this and decided to compromise between 10 and 11, so 10:30. So remember October 4th, 10:30, and we will remind you. As we close our celebration and focus on this representation of the light of unity, thank you, Reverend Julie, for your inspiring and loving message. We invite all of us to take time to reflect and take on the assignments and suggestions she's given us. As you do, notice how these key ideas and principles enrich and deepen your life. We also hope you invite those you care about to share our Sunday celebrations with our great ministers and speakers, both live and on YouTube, under the title Westland Unity Center. Join us next Sunday, September 27th, when our speaker again will be Reverend Julie Applegate with the third and final message of her excellent series on faith. We look forward to hearing all those stories she was going to tell us. For further spiritual support, visit our website, worldhealing.org, Facebook, or unity.org. And for 24-hour prayer, call or visit silentunity.org. Again, please stay after this service for our digital conversation and fellowship session to connect with your community, our community. As we complete our formal time together, we symbolically blow out the candles in our minds. But we know the light never goes out. Why? Because we are the light. And share the prayer of protection and transformation. The light of God is in us. The love of God moves through us. The power of God transforms us. The presence of God is who we are. Wherever we go, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much for your support and participation. You're a very important part of the Unity Center. Let's all reach out this week in love and the spirit of unity. Have a beautiful, safe, and healing week. And we will close, as we always do,